Okay, the other thing I want to have a quick look at is I noticed that this is not working anymore. So if I drag this track down, then this pops up to this position. If I drag this down, this pops up. But if I drag this up, that should pop down, and it doesn't. So at some point that was working, and it doesn't seem to be anymore. Where do I want to look? Track. Drag. Should move track to other. Should move track to other. Track drag. So this track is the track that we are dragging. That track is the track that we are checking if we should like pop it, like swap the positions of the tracks. And we're just looking at the dimensions of the track controls to decide at what point. I should be like halfway up, I think, that this should like decide to pop down. But that's not happening. So we have some very confusing equations going on here. If I do this in an Alt tab, no, it's just going to stop. As soon as I Alt tab, it stops the drag. Alright, let's just print out all these values and see what's happening. Bottom is oops. Middle. What is going on with my fingers? Okay. B. So I'll try and do this in a way that you can see the console. So this is what Wait. Top. Bottom of A is 125. Okay. So one of these should trigger. So we're checking if the top of I might need to break all this up to understand it better. But I think I remember correctly. If you if you drag it halfway up, once it passes, I think if it's the center point, the midpoint of this track, if the midpoint of this track passes the midpoint of this track, it should hit one of those conditions. I think I remember correctly. I remember it took me ages to like figure out exactly what should happen. It took me ages to figure out like what felt correct, but I got there in the end. But it seems like it's not working anymore for some reason. If the midpoint of this, that's what this is, A middle, is less than, which means higher than the middle of this, and the bottom is greater than the middle. So that would be like that. And the top is greater than top, yes. And the bottom is less than the bottom. So that first if condition should be hit. And so difficult to get everything on the screen. Okay, that's fine, isn't it? So that should have swapped already. Should have hit the first. So A top's greater than B top. Yes. A bottom is less than or equal to B bottom. Yes. A middle is less than B middle. At that point it should be true, right? A top is greater than or equal to B top. A bottom is less than B bottom. A middle is less than or equal to B middle. A bottom is greater than or to B middle. So the final check is not true. A middle, no, sorry, A bottom is greater than or equal to B middle. Wait, it is. A bottom is greater than or equal to B middle. Yeah, it is. Which one is not true? A middle less than or equal to. A bottom is less than or equal to B bottom. Right, so this function is returning true, but then it's just not swapping. It must be returning true, right? I mean, I can check by Some more prints in here. What am I doing? A, B, C, D. To me, it looks like this one's getting hit. Which means the problem is not that function. Yeah. So it's printing A, which means it should be swapping the tracks at this point. So this function's fine. So this is happening, is it? Yeah. So this is not like updating the project state to say that the tracks have swapped positions. It's not going to do that yet. It only does that when you release the mouse button and finish the drag operation. This is basically like a temporary move of those tracks. On workspace track moved. Arrange tracks. That makes me wonder why this doesn't work. Index. I must have changed all this at some point during the refactor. I don't remember changing it. The thing I'm wondering about now is even if so when the drag operation finishes, release the mouse button to finish it. We're doing an operation to decide where the tracks should be on the screen. And to do that, we're looking at, it looks like, well, how does this work? Arrange tracks. Put tracks. We're just iterating through the tracks. So at this point they should be in order. Oh dear. Right. So at that point they're in order. Okay. I don't understand why it'd work like that, but not like that. It's lagging because I'm printing all that garbage, which I don't need anymore. None of this is relevant because this function is working correctly. Yeah, the question still remains, why does it work one way but not the other? So I can go like this, in this direction. It's only if you try to move it to the top. It's... Well, what happened there? I went too fast. Or something. So I can put that there. If you're going downwards, it's fine. In fact, I think if you're moving it to any position other than the top position, then it's absolutely fine. You can move it to that doesn't feel good. Does it feel good? I guess it's fine. Just put that there. Put that there. So everything seems to be working fine, except if you try and put something in the top position. It just doesn't go. What the? But I know that that function's returning true when it should be. So this must be happening. So move track to this new position. And then we're going to call this thing, right? So let me see it. Here, put tracks. So this should happen. What? What happened? Something weird happened. Yeah. Should move this to other. Oh no. Right. Bing. I think that fixes it. Do you see what's happening there? I was getting a reference to this vector of tracks, a reference to it, and then when this happens, it modifies that vector. So this is very bad. We're lucky that things were not just outright exploding, because iterators were getting messed with there. If we take a copy instead, I think we should be good. There we go. That actually solved. So it was feeling quite janky as well. Just outside of that problem, just moving up and down, it seemed like things were not quite moving when they should be, and now it feels correct. Yeah, it's because that vector was getting fucked with. And then I was continuing to iterate the vector. Classic issue. Fix janky. In fact, let me put a comment here. Fix janky track dragging. Okay.